Hi there, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 4 of the Nova Scotia Kitchens podcast, Kelly Neal's Lemon Asparagus Risotto. I'm Sherry Graham, and on today's show you get to visit in Kelly Neal's Dartmouth kitchen with me. Kelly is a food photographer and stylist, and it was incredibly gracious of her to invite me into her home when we had never met before in person. She is just as smart, candid, and talented as I expected, and we had a fun visit as she shared all kinds of tips and tricks with me as she made risotto, something which I had never made. Her adorable daughter Elodie joins in at the end of our visit, but we start off as Kelly is beginning to make the risotto.
I'm just going to pop this in the microwave because I'm making a risotto.
Yes.
Now, I worked in Italian restaurants for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was always taught that the correct way to say risotto is risotto. But I always feel a little pretentious saying it that way. So I'm making risotto.
Mexico. I went to Mexico.
And I saved myself some time by putting my stock, which I'm using better than bouillon because of you and Lindsay Cameron Wilson.
You hadn't tried it before that?
No, and I recently discovered that my daughter Elodie has an MSG allergy. Not really an allergy, but she gets like red patches all over when she eats something with MSG.
Oh.
And you guys said this doesn't have MSG, so I was like, perfect, because I love Knorr powder. Like, I want to eat that stuff by the spoonful. But it's not good for you.
Yeah. They do like the bouillon cubes or whatever. Do they do like loose?
Well, like working in restaurants, it comes in buckets.
Oh.
And they call it, I call it chicken powder, but they call it, in restaurants, they call it line salt. And literally it's like handfuls going in stuff.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of, it's like a dirty little secret. So this I find, like, I definitely have to add the salt. That I normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make Elodie flare up.
Oh.
So I basically...
I'm so glad. We could give you that.
Yeah.
And I really like the flavor. And this one actually, like, has chicken in it. And then a lot of them don't.
Well, it says it has chicken in it. And I actually bought one for my dad maybe last year because my dad always talks about lobster paste. Do you remember lobster paste?
No.
So apparently there used to be, and you can't get it anymore, this product called lobster paste. I don't know what it is, but it's something like this.
Yeah.
Like probably like some kind of like gooey gelatinous flavor enhancer.
Kind of thing.
And anyway, better than bouillon makes I think I got the lobster flavored one, or it might have been shrimp. I think it was lobster though. And I gave it to Dad, and he said it was good, but wasn't as good.
I had no idea. We only can get in Yarmouth chicken, beef, and vegetable.
Okay.
So I have some of each, but I didn't even realize that they had shrimp.
I got it at Pete's. Yeah, they had all kinds of different flavors there.
Oh, awesome.
So I wanted to do the right thing and go to like the farmer's market and get some beautiful spring vegetables, but I just got home from Cape Breton yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
And I didn't make it to the market. So
there's no apologies needed whatsoever.
Okay, good.
Life is life.
Yeah. I spent a fortune on this pan, probably 10 years ago. It's an all-flat pan.
It looks lovely, yes.
And I got the wrong size. I wanted a 12-inch and I bought the 13 by mistake.
Yeah.
But it actually turned out to be really great for making risotto because it's got the higher sides and it's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
You have to preheat it for a while. But I did something really dumb in January. I was like, Elodie's eating all this food. She's not picky at all. She eats anything I give her. I was like, I want to make her something different for breakfast. I'm going to make a Dutch baby. I didn't even know what a Dutch baby was.
Yes, that's one of my favorites.
And, like, I know how to cook. I know how to bake. I should know when a recipe reads wrong, right?
Yeah.
I write recipes for people. People pay me to write recipes. So the recipe said, heat your butter on high. Or it was like, heat your pan on high and then add your butter. I was like, I don't know. I felt like that's not good advice, but I went with it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a recipe, I'm gonna go with it. And the second the butter hit the pan, it turned black and filled the entire apartment with smoke.
That's the worst.
And the smoke alarms were going off, and Elodie was screaming, and I had this like black pan that I paid $130 for, and I can't get the stain off.
Oh.
I don't really know what to do. I've looked online at like different baking soda recipes and things, and
Yeah.
perhaps one of them will work, but I haven't really delved too far into it.
That's really disappointing, especially when it's something you actually spent money on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably know the trick with asparagus. You have a garden.
I do, but maybe a listener doesn't.
I mean, I think it works. Does it work? You don't?
Well, I don't know.
Because, I mean, let me just see here. If I were to just...
So describe the trick.
Okay, so the trick is you take a stalk of asparagus and you hold it by the end that is coming from the ground, and you just kind of gently snap it. And the rule of thumb is that it will snap where it's basically like
Getting
ripening
tough, yeah.
and getting tough. And so it should snap, but I sometimes feel like there's a lot of asparagus wasted.
I know, and sometimes...
But I don't want to eat tough asparagus, so I'm okay with that.
Same.
So, yeah. So I'm doing asparagus with asparagus. I'm doing risotto with asparagus and lemon and some white wine.
Yum.
And risotto is my go-to. It's like some people make Mr. Noodles, which I also do enjoy Mr. Noodles, hot dogs, like all that gross stuff. But risotto is like my go-to if I'm hungry and I don't know what to make, because you can use it as a base for any flavor.
And I have never made risotto. I think I told you this.
Yeah, I think you did.
For no reason other than I've never had somebody show me how to make it.
I never have either. Well, actually, that's not 100% true because I did work in restaurants.
So this might be my entry into the wonderful world of risotto. I'm excited.
I think people are intimidated to make risotto because they think they have to stand over the pan the whole time.
And stir it for 45 minutes.
But you don't.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure you stir it so it doesn't stick, like when it's drying out. So here's my other trick that, the Italian people would be like, what the hell is he doing? I heat my stock, which is just basically 4 cups of water, in the microwave in a big Pyrex measuring cup with a handle on it. Then I add my stock, my better than bouillon, and I just add it to taste. And I'll give it a little whisk. And then I chop up my asparagus and I just chuck it in stock. And it just sits with me. So I don't have it on the stove. It stays hot enough the whole time.
Yeah.
And then I can pour it instead of having to like ladle it, because ladling is kind of messy sometimes.
I like how you think.
It's kind of sad, but no, it's not. That's not the right word. I love the microwave. So what I just did was I heated my 4 cups of water in the microwave for 5 minutes, so it was kind of like on the verge of boiling. Added my chicken bouillon, stirred it up, whisked it in, and then I chopped up my asparagus and added that to the stock, basically just to blanch it.
And you probably put in how much asparagus? About?
Probably a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup. I mean, no, probably more than half a cup. I'd probably say 3/4 to a cup. There was probably, 15 stalks.
Cool.
Yeah. It's just kind of like, I'm only making a cup of risotto, which is going to, obviously volumize as it absorbs water. But I think that'll be okay. Yeah. It might be too much, it might be too little, but I just kind of wing it.
And it seems like the kind of recipe where you can, be flexible with kind of the flavors you use. And
to me, risotto is a blank canvas. Like, once you get the basics of the onion, butter, rice, wine, stock down, and cheese, you can add, like, I've made it with red wine instead of white wine, with mushrooms, bacon.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
Really like on the side of a steak.
Yeah.
This one's obviously more lighter. I made one last week with butternut squash and some chopped up fried sage leaves. Just simple.
Yeah. But so good. That sounds really, really good.
And actually pretty easy. Okay, so step 1 to making risotto is I like to prep my stock first, because then it's just kind of like hot and ready and I can get going and I don't have to like bother with like, oh, I didn't do that, mise en place, that kind of deal.
All that jazz.
Fancy talk for get your shit together. Can I say shit on your podcast? I don't really want to.
I can just beep it out.
I quit swearing. Right now, I'm just cutting up half of an onion. I would say I'm dicing it actually. And it's just like a really rough chop. So big chunk of butter. So my pan was a little bit hot, so my onions, Your onions should be translucent.
Okay.
Mine are a little bit browned, but not like crispy brown, just like a little bit colorful. But that's okay, it'll still taste good.
Okay.
Then I added a cup of rice.
And the rice you're using is?
Just arborio.
Yeah.
But you can also use carnaroli. Am I saying that right? I think so.
I don't know.
So basically you add your rice and you
And
keep
how
it.
much did you put in?
I put in a cup.
Okay.
And you keep it moving and you'll see, like if you look at a grain of rice from the bag, it's pretty white, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the rice in the pan, you can see it's almost like getting translucent with a little seed in the middle.
Yep, it totally is.
So that's a sign that the rice needs a drink.
Okay.
We want to make our rice thirsty, which is like the whole point of the risotto.
Because it's going to absorb.
And that's why it takes so long, because you're just waiting for everything to absorb and get dried out, and then you give it another drink. That's the recipe, really. So I actually went up to Harvest. Do you know Harvest wines?
No, tell me more.
Okay, well Harvest is sort of like the Dartmouth version of Bishop Cellar.
Okay.
It's an independent wine shop. And it's small.
Yeah.
And they're open at 10 on Sunday mornings, so you can go get wine before the NSLC opens. And I wanted to get the Gasbro Muscat, Gasbro Vineyards, because it's my all-time #1 favorite to make risotto with.
Okay.
But they don't have any Gasbro wine there. Only one, Genus Red, and I didn't want red wine. So I just got this little half bottle of Portuguese white, and now that my rice is drying out and pretty clear and thirsty looking, I'm going to give it a big drink of wine. Some recipes will say to give the risotto like a half a cup of wine. I don't measure. I just give it like 2 giant plugs.
Okay.
So that was one. And I'm going to let it dry out, and then I'm going to give it another one. Because I like the taste of wine in my risotto.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And this is the part where it takes a little time. I remember the first time I wanted to make risotto, it was probably around 2010. And I had just bought Jamie Oliver's The Naked Chef when he was like fresh-faced little noob. And he had a recipe for risotto. So I like poured through every line. I made notes in the margins. I can even show it to you. My notes are probably still there. And it was just like so intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can I actually do this? Can I do it?
Yeah,
Can I do it? Just practice and then figuring out your own method.
Yeah.
Kind of like having a podcast or writing a blog or taking pictures. You just
figure
it out.
Yeah.
So my rice is still pretty wet, and but it is like sticking in a few places. So I just kind of moved it around a bit. Probably could have gone a cup and a half, but it's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all fine.
So yeah.
So I have so many questions. You know what? I even like wrote up post-its in my grown-up meeting this morning. I did.
Well, I was kind of thinking about it because I'm pretty multifaceted. Like I have random stuff happening from all directions.
Yeah.
Which is what I want. Like okay, so I write for the Herald.
Yes.
I do photos and food styling for clients who need stuff for their websites or even social media. I write recipes. What else do? I do other things. I was actually thinking about this because I just updated my website with all of the information of like, here's what I can do, and I was like, holy crap, I do a lot of stuff.
I want to know. I'll get out my post-it. I'm saying the important, but I do definitely want to talk about your Herald pieces that you do. So
my rice is getting a little bit thirsty, so I'm going to give it another glug of wine. Sure. So I'd say I use half of a 375 ml bottle, which would be what, like less than a cup. So probably half a cup to 3/4 of a cup.
Divide into 2 glugs.
Yep.
One absorb. Okay.
Yep. So that's just going to sit for a few minutes now.
Sounds so good. It smells so good. These are my fancy plates.
So I guess the nanny project first popped into my head, and that's how it happens. It's just like this like light bulb, like I turn on a light bulb, and it's like, oh, I want to do that, and then I obsess about it until it happens, or I pay lots of money for websites and then it never happens. So I thought about the nanny project, I think in 2013, and it really kind of stemmed from my grandmother. And I have this like kind of dark relationship, I think, like this dark, nostalgic, sad relationship to my grandmother. My sister and I, my mom, we went to visit her every weekend and more. When I was growing up, she came to live with us. After my parents split up, my mom went back to school. My grandmother, who had dementia, came to live with us. So my mom was in school with 2 teenage daughters in high school, and her mom living with her and trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. Anyway, Nanny died when I was 18, and I just sort of had this, I don't know, just like grief and weight and sadness that just never really went away. Because I was so young when she was so sick, I was so wrapped up with my friends and hanging out and like, you know, going to parties and going to the mall that I didn't really pay attention as much as I should have. And like that's a huge loss, I think, for me, is that I didn't pay attention to Nanny when she needed me the most. Anyway, long story short, I just started thinking about, my mom would tell stories about like Nanny baking bread, and like the counters would be lined with loaves of bread. Well, I knew Nanny after her husband died, and she lived in a little apartment. She didn't bake bread. She didn't really cook at all. Yeah. Her kids were all gone. She lived, it wasn't like a nursing home, but it was, you know, a lot of, kind of like this building, a lot of older people living alone. And I just realized that I had never really, I had never tasted any of her cooking or her baking. And that made me even more sad. So I started researching and asking questions, and do you have any of Nanny's recipes? And so I started with my own grandmother, and then I kind of branched out into other grandmothers, my friends. Like, does anybody else have this feeling of, and it doesn't have to be the sadness, it can be the happiness attached to it as well, but does anybody else have these like memories that I'm searching for of your Nanny in the kitchen and eating her bread or her biscuits or whatever? And it turns out a lot of people do have those memories. So I approached a photographer that I was working with at the time. I was doing food styling for him, and I said, what do you think about filming it as a, I don't know, like a video, like an episode, like a potential show? And we did. We actually got Nicoletta Bocalis. She is Pepper and Paint. She doesn't vlog as much anymore. Anyway, her grandparents used to own, I think, the sushi restaurant on the corner of Quinpool and Oxford.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Used to be a Greek restaurant.
Yes.
And her grandparents owned that for many years.
Oh, okay.
So she has an intense relationship to food and her grandparents.
Yeah.
So we went to her summer home, and it was like her and I behind the counter, and we're cooking together, and I'm interviewing her. And then after I watched the whole thing put together, I was just like, no, this isn't right. Yeah. This isn't what it is. Yeah. It's not bright, fresh, open, white, modern kitchen with Food Network style cooking. Yeah. There's more to it than that. Yeah. So anyway, we scrapped it, and I just kept doing it on my own on my blog. Okay, my rice is getting dry, so now I'm going to add some stock. Okay. And I'm going to use my ladle just for a sec, because I forgot to scoop up my asparagus, so let me just do this. And just add a little of that. So this process that I'm doing, where I'm adding a ladle full of stock, you just do that until the stock's gone, and then you're done. Then you add a whole bunch of butter and cheese, and then you eat it.
Lovely. And it smells amazing.
So anyway, I was writing it on my blog for a long time, posting recipes, you know, always sad, always dark. Yeah. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, Elodie, and I needed to figure out a way to make money. Because
this is life.
I was working in restaurants up until that point, and I just didn't want to do that anymore. Yeah. I don't want that. Like, I love the flexibility of my life right now. I can work on my own schedule and really accommodate a family lifestyle. So I had a contact at the Herald. This was when we met. They were still on strike. Okay. And I met with them the day before Elodie was born. Oh wow! So I was there for a meeting on June 16th to pitch them ideas. Yeah. And she was born on the 17th. Oh wow! So anyway, I had a contact through Kathy Jollymore. Okay. Kathy Jollymore is a good friend of mine. She's also an amazing food stylist, and she's been working on occasions with the Herald for a really long time. Yeah. So I said to her, "Who's your contact at the Herald?" And she told me, and I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to email her. It won't be hard to find her contact." Yeah. And I did. I just said, how do you get a column? That's it. Good morning, so-and-so.
I've got a question.
My name is Kelly Neal. I'm a food photographer in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, blah, blah, blah. I was just wondering, how do you get a column? And she emailed me back and she said, oh, I've seen you on Instagram. Like, thanks for reaching out. Basically what you do is you send us your ideas, and if we like them, then we'll take them. And if we don't want to use them, we put them up on a shelf, and no one on our staff is allowed to use your ideas.
Oh, okay.
I was like, cool.
Yeah.
So I sent in 6 ideas, and they accepted 3.
Wow.
So it became this like cool, steady little paycheck for me that is perfect to supplement all the other stuff I do. And they were most excited about the nanny project.
Yeah.
So that one appears in the Nova Scotian every second week. And it just ties in perfectly to what the Nova Scotian is. It features people in Nova Scotia. Yeah, and I also do a road trip column, and then I also do one called Off Duty.
So you've added in a bit more.
I just keep adding, basically once the rice dries out, I add another ladle of stock.
You're kind of stirring it.
Yeah.
Every now and then.
Just every now and then, just to see if it's sticking to the pan. And once I feel that it's starting to like stick, I keep scraping it up and stirring it around, and then add more stock. We'll probably use most of that stock, maybe 3 cups. It depends. Once you get to about the 45-minute mark, I start to take little bites.
Yeah,
And just to see if the right consistency. I'm actually going to grate some cheese while that's simmering. But like right now, the pan has a lot of bare spots. It's not soaked in liquid. It's not like, I don't know, is poaching the right word? It's not simmering and bubbling liquid. I just put stock in, and it's, yeah. Does that make sense? Am I making any sense?
I think so. People can figure it out. People are smart. So, did you do food training?
No.
In any capacity? And when you worked in restaurants, what type of restaurant work?
I was a manager, general manager.
Yeah.
So, which to me is, like, what's a general manager? I did everything. You do everything.
General.
You need, the guys on the dish pit need a hand because they're so backed up and you're so slammed busy.
Yeah.
You jump in and you spray plates.
Yeah.
I didn't really go on the line too much, but I was the general manager of Amano in Bishop
Okay, yeah.
Restaurant Amano. Like, I would make salads, I would get desserts, I would help make pizza.
Yeah.
Run food, make drinks, greet guests, answer the phone, clean the bathrooms. Like, what do you need
All
done?
the things.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it. Friggin' like psychotherapist to staff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of do everything, and I got really exhausted.
I was just gonna say that would be exhausting.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I was saying this to Chris this morning. Like, it's not always about money.
No.
Like, money is nice to have, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I was making a really good salary, and I made a crap load of money in tips, and,
Yeah.
you know, I had full benefits, and blah, 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 blah. But I had no life.
Yeah.
So, you know, with a little girl now, that's not
Yeah.
for me anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, this is a big, huge chunk of parm.
Yum.
Even when I have had those moments in my life where I have, like, no money,
Parmesan.
I buy real parm and I buy
Same.
real butter. I do not
There's
mess around.
there's no substitutes.
There's not. And I just feel like, you know, a little goes a long way, and the cost for me is totally justified. I'll have to show you my prop collection.
Oh my
Because
goodness, I would love that.
I've taken quite a while to build it up, and I think it's pretty good at this point. People always love the jadeite.
Ooh, yes.
I have a cake stand and a plate and a couple of bowls, and I'm looking to get more, but it's hard to come by. Oh, there's my cat Pearl.
Oh, hi, Pearl.
She's very shy.
I'm a cat person. I'll approach slowly.
She's gonna be 18 in June.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
Ancient. Hi.
I think that the few times I've used the better than bouillon, I haven't added enough. Because I just had a little bite of the rice, and it's like, we're probably about 15 minutes away
Okay.
from it being done. And it's, like, I don't think I need to add any salt. But last time I used it, I had to add extra salt.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just think I didn't use enough of the bouillon. It's gonna be good. Do you ever watch my Instagram stories?
Sometimes when I have time.
I feel like this is a bit salty, but the lemon will kill it. Do you think I'm different in person than what you see on there?
No. No.
I'm a huge goof on Instagram stories. Like let me tell you about my first Instagram story. I was hanging out with Justine Barnhart. She's on Instagram. I've only met her a few times in person. I've been following her for a really long time.
Yeah.
And we were and I was like, you're always on Instagram stories. Why?
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, I love it. It's my favorite thing. And I didn't understand. Tell me why you like it. Because the stories disappear after 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's a 15-second video, and after 24 hours, it's gone. This was around the time that McDonald's pulled out their all-day breakfast. All day long, all-day breakfast. And I love sausage and egg McMuffins.
Wow.
Since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, passionately. I would eat them every day if you let me. And I went to McDonald's one night, and I got 2 sausage and egg McMuffins at like 10 p.m., and I was ecstatic.